If you've ever asked yourself, how can I get the swing and the golf game that I've always imagined without trying every tip, every training aid, watching every video after video on social media, then this podcast is for you. Welcome. I'm Daniel Guest, and welcome to the Imagen Golf Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Imagen Golf and PXG. All right, everyone, welcome back. If you're listening to this right now, I need you actually to do me a favor. I want you to take a deep breath, right? Breathe in through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. I need you to exhale, obviously, right? I want you to mentally delete the last 5 YouTube/social media videos that you watched about, and I'm doing air quotes here, supinating your wrist, or air quotes, hitting position 6, or air quotes, just anything position related in golf. Because today in this podcast, and it's going to get a lot of flack, I'm sure it is, I could care less, we are going to stop the craziness. And that is exactly what this podcast is about. Please stop the craziness and let's make this game a lot more simpler and have a lot more fun. And because of all that, let's get a lot better. All right. So here we go. Look, there is not a day that goes by that a student walks up, or they come in for the first time and they look exhausted, right? And they're mentally strapped, and we haven't even hit a ball yet, right? I can tell immediately. I can tell because I've given a shit ton of lessons, right, and sessions, that their brain is spinning. They're thinking about the 10 positions of golf, right? They're thinking about hey, Daniel, is he going to notice my elbow isn't at 45 degrees? Hey, Daniel, am I shallowing the shaft enough? What about my P4? Hey, am I supinating my wrist enough? Right? It's like, come on, man, stop. I mean, literally, just stop, right? The game of golf is hard, is crazy hard. I think if you listen to this podcast, you know that I played at a pretty high level ice hockey, and ice hockey for most people is crazy hard. It pales in comparison to golf, right? But golf, no game is as complicated as the golf industry wants you to believe, right? We have turned a simple ball and stick type of game into like advanced calculus, for God's sake, right? And it is absolutely killing your scores and killing the enjoyment of the game. How do I know? Because you've heard me say this before, because golf handicaps haven't changed in over 35 years. And we have better equipment, better clubs, more information than we could shake a stick at. We have more instructors than ever on the planet. We have more golf videos than every other sport combined. So if you add all that up, things should be getting better, and they're not. All right. So today, we're going to just go back to the basics. It's not going to be boring, but just basics, some essential basics. And I want you to forget everything, almost everything that you've heard about golf instruction in the past. If you've ever heard about the 10 positions or 10 steps or whatever you want to think about golf, I definitely need you to either A, hit pause to stop the podcast, or B, just wipe your mind clean, because we're really going to absolutely shit can all that stuff. All right. So what we're going to talk about today are 4 pillars of a great golf swing. All right. Just 4. And there's really only 3, but you're going to see why we say it's 4, right? And if you nail these 4 things, you can play a great game of golf forever, right? Forever. And you can play it well. And they're simple. When you're done this podcast, I want you to just, again, exhale, breathe in through your nose, exhale, and you tell me if this didn't make sense, right? I know it makes sense because I've been preaching it for 10 years. We have 5,400 students. We've had 70 some students just this season alone shoot par for the very first time. I hold that record up against any instructor in the country, right? That can boast the same, right? So I know what we're doing actually works if you'll just buy into it and just, like I keep saying, shit can everything else you ever heard about the game, right? So look, here's pillar one. And by the way, if you don't want to write this down, no big deal, because I put the entire thing in the notes and I actually gave you some drills, all right? And another thing, little side note, um, at the bottom, I'm going to drop in the notes section, I'm going to drop in a video we did on the exact same podcast so that you can see everything that we're actually talking about. And I just threw that in as an added bonus because I love you guys. All right. So seriously, here we go. Pillar number one, and this is non-negotiable because it's the first thing you're doing in golf, right? Is your proper setup, right? You wouldn't build a house on sand or a swamp, right? So if you're trying to hit a golf ball with your feet, in the wrong position, your back is hunched over like you're reading a text message, for God's sake, it's not going to work. All right. If you're standing straight up and down instead of your back bent at about a 45-degree angle, it's not going to work. All right. You'll be able to hit a golf ball, but you will not be able to have the control of the ball and the command of your swing that you want. So we have to understand that, right? And we have to get our proper setup nailed. By the way, anybody can do this. It doesn't take any athleticism whatsoever. You just have to know what you're doing, right? I liken this to really three different things, right? Your grip. You have to have a neutral to strong grip. There's been a gazillion podcasts. Grip it like this, do this, grip it, hold the club like it's a bird or a baby bird or like it's a tuba two. Whatever the F that means, I have no idea. Here's what I know. You have to have a firm hold of the golf club and you have to have a neutral to strong grip. What's neutral to strong? Well, your top hand on the golf club, if you turn it clockwise, your thumb will be positioned on the inside of the golf club, or at 1 o'clock, if you would, like we'd say here in Imagen, right? And when you look down at that position on the club, if you put the club down in its address position, you'll be able to see two knuckles. Not one, not three, not 1.5. You'll be able to see three knuckles, okay? Your bottom hand just meshes naturally, right, underneath the golf club, and that the bottom hand thumb goes on the other side, or 11 o'clock, so that now we have a neutral grip. We are not fans at Imagen of altering your grip significantly to make the ball do this or that, because that is just a Band-Aid. It doesn't get to the underlying reason as to why your ball's going where it is, right? Golf is what the ball does. So we've got to get the underlying challenge fixed first and foremost. Otherwise, again, it's just a Band-Aid or a temporary fix, right? So we got the grip. Your alignment. You have to align properly. Think of railroad tracks, right? So if your railroad tracks are pointing to the target, right, then you're going to be fine. Most amateurs aim too far to the right and hit the ball too far to the right. So we got to make sure that our alignment is correct, all right? We're big fans of more of a traditional style alignment where your feet are perpendicular to the target. The weight in your feet is centered and your feet or your toes are just slightly tilted out, all right? So not like a duck foot, if you would, but they're just slightly flared, right? That's it. Don't make it any more complicated than that. And then the last thing as far as the proper setup is your posture. We need you to get athletic, right? Standing straight up and down is not athletic. Bending over, right, with your spine rounded like you're reading a text at an event, if you would, is not athletic, right? So we need you to get in a posture that is athletic and to bend from the hips, not the waist. So what we teach people to do is, look, take your stance, right? Get your weight centered, right? Get your feet about shoulder width apart. Take your stance, right? Get your weight in the middle of your feet, right? Your feet are just slightly flared, if I didn't say that already. And your knees are bent just slightly. And you're standing straight up and down now, okay? Take that club and put it out in front of you so that the club shaft is 90 degrees to the ground, or parallel to the ground, I should say, right? So the shaft is just flat out in front of you, and the back of the shaft or the butt of the club is right about belt buckle high. Once you're there, just bend at the hips, right? Till the club hits the ground. When that club hits the ground, if you haven't moved anything, you haven't moved your arms, your hands or anything, you'll notice that the toe of the golf club is just slightly up. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? So now you got a better grip, you got a better alignment, you got better posture, right? Because if none of this is correct, right, your swing becomes a recovery mission, if you would, the second you start to take the club back. But if your setup is solid, you've literally accomplished 50% of the work of a golf swing before you even move the club, right? That's free money. That's using house money, right? Hey guys, it's Daniel here. Hey, thanks for listening first and foremost. Handicaps haven't changed in over 35 years for one reason and one reason only. Traditional golf instruction just doesn't work. So if you're serious about getting that swing and game that you've always imagined, take a look at our site, imagengolf.com. Join our members only club. Check out my video series, or even take a virtual or in-person lesson with me. There is no one who's more passionate about making you better in the industry, and I guarantee you'll golf better, guaranteed, or everything is free. Pardon me. So do not discredit a proper setup. Also, do not make it as complicated as people make it. All right. So that's it. Pillar 1. Pillar 2 is a logical backswing. Notice I didn't say a perfect backswing. I didn't say Adam Scott's backswing. I didn't put a video, a picture or whatever up of a PGA Tour pro. Man, I got to take a sip of my wrench beer here. Hold on. Thank you. I didn't say, hey, here is a professional tour player, and I need you to swing like him or her. Right? I mean, just when you say that out loud, that is ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. What is a logical backswing? Well, the logic is simply to get the club up and around your body so that you have room to hit the ball with force. That's it. Let me repeat that. Simply get the club up and around your body so that you have room to hit the ball with force. That is it. You don't need, drop the mic. You don't need anything else than that. Look, I have played this game for almost 50 years, and I've been beaten by people that have the most god-ugly swing that you could ever imagine, but it was consistent and it was theirs, and they took the logic and they took physics into account and they made that swing work, right? But people that are obsessed or get obsessed with hitting positions or body positions, they look, I've had people say to me, like, in a minute, we use V1 video technology, right? So we're going through the video, and the student will say to me, hey, freeze that right there. Stop that right there. Oh my God, my club face looks like it's 2 degrees open there, or 2 degrees shut, or my elbow looks like it's not touching my rib cage or whatever, right? Who freaking cares, right? Does your backswing put you in a position to deliver the club to the ball? All right. If it does, check. Now, there are some caveats. It should come from the inside. Absolutely. Very few amateurs, if any, can swing outside to in and have a good golf swing. I get that, right? But in your backswing, think about this. Did you turn your shoulders? Did you transfer your weight? Is the club deeper behind you? If you just looked at those 3 things, well, hell, that's great. That's logical. You are loaded and you are ready to fire that golf club down to the golf ball. Stop trying to get this absolutely perfect backswing and just load and swing. You'll be thanking me for it. All right? So that's pillar 2. Pillar 3, and by the way, one last thing on logical. If you still can't understand what logical means, take a club, right, to an open field. Hell, do it in the driving range with an older club that you don't want anymore. And take a couple steps, 1, 2, 3 steps, let's say, and launch the golf club into the driving range, all the while trying to throw it straight and far, right? You're going to notice immediately that the biomechanics of your golf swing are different and they're almost perfect. And by the way, they're logical, right? No one throws a golf club into the range over the top. No one. So that's what I'm talking about. If we can just work with what we got, work with the way that we're wired, the way that we're designed, you'll be better at golf. I guarantee it. All right. Number 3, the pillar number 3, and this is absolutely the holy grail, I get that, is solid contact, right? Getting back to what I said earlier, John Jacobs used to say, who was an amazing World Hall of Fame golf coach, used to say, look, golf is what the ball does. The golf ball has no idea, right? And does not know what your swing, or doesn't care what your swing looks like, right? It doesn't know if you're wearing the latest gear. It only knows one thing: impact, right? So you can have the ugliest swing in the world. You can even look at today's golfers, Jim Furyk, right? Renowned ugly swing. Matthew Wolff, right? Renowned ugly swing. But if you hit the back of the ball first, right, flush on the face in the center of the golf club, the ball goes straighter, farther, higher. That's it. All right. We spend so much time worrying about all the other minutia of a golf swing and how we look, for that matter, of getting to the ball, that we forget, right? The job is to hit the ball flush. All right. So are we hitting the center of the face, right? Are we brushing the grass after the golf ball? I notice I didn't say take a divot. Would it be nice if we took a divot? Sure, it would, right? But I just said brushing the grass, right? If the answer is yes, then you're a golfer. I don't care if your left arm is bent. I don't care if you lift up your left heel. I don't care if you're coming in too steep or too shallow, or whatever, all right? If the contact is solid consistently and repeatable, then the swing works, period. Are there some tenements that have to happen to that, like coming from the inside? Yeah, of course there are. But if you're not thinking about those and you're just doing those, well, there you go. You got a golf swing. All right? Period. Don't make it any harder. And by the way, don't try, all right, with impact tape or any of that noise, or foot powder on your club face and all that. Where am I hitting the ball? Don't even worry about that, because that's a result, right, of what you're doing in your golf swing. Well, it's harder to control results than it is the actions. Work on the actions, not the results, right? So that's pillar 3. Pillar 4 is maybe the second easiest. The easiest, in my opinion, is setup, but pillar 4 is easy, right? You know what? When I think about it, it kind of holds everything together. Pillar 4 is just a natural follow through. Natural, right? That's the key word. I see so many amateurs who hit the ball and then stop, right? They'll either chop at it, they flinch, or they think that once they hit the ball, the golf swing is over. Or even worse, they try to force themselves into some perfect PGA Tour like finish, where their back is twisted like a pretzel. You get the point, right? The follow through is a reaction to what happened before it. It's kind of like a braking system, right? If you swung with speed, which is what we want, your body has to rotate through, right? Through the actual golf swing, through impact, to slow the club down safely, right? Again, getting back to the analogy where you throw a club into the driving range, you don't throw the club into the driving range as far as you can, right? And as hard as you can, and then stop your swing, right? You let the momentum pull you around. In golf, we want to finish balanced on our lead leg. Why our lead leg? Well, because on the backswing, as we transfer weight, it should go to our right leg or our rear leg for our right-handers, right? So if we finish appropriately, we go from our right side to our left side, we should finish balance on that left side, all right? And let your arms and your club wrap around you, right? I want you to think about steep, shallow, steep, all right? Steep in your backswing, meaning you get the club high and deeper behind you. Let the club shallow out naturally, like most people do, and then swing steep in your follow through. Let the club naturally do what it wants to do. All right. If you're doing anything else, you're essentially steering the club. If you have no follow through, right? If you're not swinging the golf club, right? Then it doesn't happen naturally. And this is absolutely, right? The one of the challenges with most amateurs is they stop, right? Or they think that once the golf swing, once I made impact, my whatever happens after impact doesn't really happen, or doesn't really matter, I should say. It just happens. All right. So that's it. It's really not that hard. If you think about setup, backswing, contact, and follow through, that is the cycle. That is the rhythm. So when you go to practice this week, I want you to strip away all the garbage, right? I want you to check your setup, right? I want you to pay attention to that setup and make sure that it's appropriate, all right? I want you to make a logical turn. I want you to focus on solid contact, and I want you to allow a natural finish, right? If you do, right, hit a bad shot, don't ask, "Hey, was my wrist bowed?" Right? Uh, did where was I at P6? All right. Did I supinate my wrist? I don't want you to ask any of that garbage, right? What I want you to ask, "Hey, man, how was my setup?" Right? Or did I just miss a contact? If you keep things that simple, and I'm not even exaggerating, if you keep it that simple, the game starts to come to you easier. The swing starts to come to you easier than if you throw in all that analytical garbage, right? Paralysis by analysis, right? So get out of your head just a little bit, get into your body, and trust these 4 pillars. I guarantee you, if you'll do that, you'll play better, you'll feel better, and you'll have more fun, right? All right, so that's it. That's all I have for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit the follow button below, and please like this. And if you like it, please pass it on to your friends and relatives. That's really the way that the podcast has grown. We're number one in, I think, in Finland or something like that. We're top 10 in a bunch of foreign countries, and we're still hovering around the top 100 for, actually top 50 now that I think about it, for podcasts in the country. So for all that, I thank you. I'm Daniel Guest. I'll see you out there on the greens, and here's getting you the swing and the game that you've always imagined. Hey, Daniel here. If you're looking to get new clubs, you need to consider PXG. And I know what you're thinking. PXG is too expensive, or I'm not good enough to get fitted for clubs. And look, I'm here to tell you that neither is true. PXG is no more expensive than any of the top manufacturers out there, and everyone and anyone will benefit from getting fitted for clubs. And here's the best part. It's literally free. That's right. Getting fit at PXG is free. So when you're ready to get a new driver, new woods, new irons, or even a new putter, simply let me know and I'll help you get the swing and the game you've always imagined with a new set of clubs from PXG.